If the Bible was really written by an all-knowing, all-loving God, wouldn't it treat women with dignity and equality? But here's the problem. When we look at history, we actually find that other ancient cultures treated women better than the Bible did. So if the Bible wasn't ahead of its time, what does that say about its so-called divine morality? The excuse? The Bible was just a product of its time. You've probably heard this before. People saying, oh, the Bible wasn't sexist. That's just how things were back then. But that's not true. Some societies at the time gave women way more rights than biblical laws ever did. Let's take a look. Ancient cultures that treated women better than the Bible did. Ancient Egypt. Women in Egypt could own property, file for divorce, and even sue in court. Some women even ruled as pharaohs, like Hatshepsut and Cleopatra. Meanwhile, in the Bible, women were sold as property. Spartan women were educated, physically trained, and could inherit wealth. Unlike in Athens, where women were stuck inside, Spartan women could speak their minds. Meanwhile, in the Bible, women were told to stay silent in church. The Hittites, women could sign contracts, testify in legal cases, and had some protections against abuse. Meanwhile, biblical law forced rape victims to marry their rapists. The Etruscans, women could socialize freely, attend feasts, and even participate in public life. Meanwhile, the Bible says wives must submit to their husbands like they would to God. So yeah, while other ancient civilizations were giving women a voice, the Bible was silencing them. The Bible's active role in oppressing women. The Bible didn't just reflect sexism, it locked it into law. Here are some actual biblical laws about women. Women were property. A father could sell his daughter into slavery. Forced marriage. If a man raped a woman, she had to marry him. Polygamy for men only. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Divorce laws only favored men. A husband could divorce a wife for any reason, but a wife couldn't. Women's words were worthless. Their testimony wasn't valid in court. If these laws came from an all-knowing, loving God, why do they sound like they came from power-hungry men? Even Jesus didn't change it. Some say, but Jesus treated women better. Did he though? Because even in the New Testament, Paul doubled down on gender roles. I do not permit a woman to teach or assume authority over a man. She must be silent. Women were still treated as secondary. Neither was man created for woman, but woman for man. Women still had no leadership roles in the church. So even with Jesus, biblical misogyny stayed right where it was. 5. The real cost of biblical misogyny. Let's put morality aside for a second and just talk logic. Keeping women as second-class citizens wasn't just unfair. It was a massive waste of human potential. Whenever women have been given more rights, societies have thrived. The Enlightenment educated women helped fuel the scientific revolution. World War II, when women joined the workforce. Global economies boomed. Modern economies. Countries that prioritize women's rights have stronger economies, better health care, and lower crime rates. And yet, the Bible, supposedly inspired by an all-knowing God, set up laws that kept half of humanity from reaching their full potential. Why would a real God do that? Here's the big question. If other ancient societies gave women more rights, why did the Bible, God's supposed perfect word, do the opposite? If biblical morality is absolute and unchanging, why do Christians today ignore or reinterpret these sexist laws? If human civilizations like Egypt and Sparta could give women power, why couldn't an all-knowing God? The Bible wasn't ahead of its time, it was behind it. So ask yourself, was this book really written by God, or just by men who wanted to stay in power? What do you think? Was biblical misogyny just part of the times, or was it something worse? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because if we don't challenge these ideas, they'll keep influencing people today.